Self-improvement is a double-edged sword. When any concept gains a community, naturally different genres, opinions, and fields of thought develop. Some more healthy, some entirely unhelpful, and some trending towards toxic. I've been intentionally pursuing living a better life for the last 13 years. So I've been around long enough to see some trends come and go. Now, I'm eternally an optimist, and so I tend to focus on the positive things. But over time, I've noticed a few things, either systemically or at the intersection of people and ideas, that self-improvement just tends to get wrong. These are things I wish I'd known earlier on because it would have saved me a lot of frustration, misplaced effort, and even some self-hatred. Today, I'd like to share 7 things that self-improvement gets wrong and how to fix them. Number 1, the illusion of perfection. When I got into self-improvement, everything was just so perfect. A perfect morning routine, a perfect workout routine, perfect habits, and there was very little margin for the human element. And so that left me feeling very discouraged when I would inevitably get off track or need to get back on track, and even led me to some areas of self-loathing. When the reality is, none of us are perfect. We are all human, and we will inevitably get off track. Now, thankfully, self-improvement as a genre is moving past this, but I will still occasionally see a sort of out of touch, overly perfect morning routine or day in the life video. Another thing I'll often still see is videos using absolute language. So you must, I always, I never, that type of thing. And it doesn't set a very good example for us mere mortals to follow. What self-improvement needs is people who are very real about their journey. If I do a morning routine video, I'm going to be very realistic with it. This is something I do most mornings or on a normal morning, not every morning. Number 2, a one-size-fits-all approach. Not everyone benefits from the same strategies. Self-improvement should be individually tailored to the individual person. Now, of course, we on the other side of the screen or on the other side of the page can't tailor that for you. So adding caveats in of this has worked for me, it might not work for you, would have been helpful, because I remember trying to integrate exactly different people's routines, different people's ideas, then they just didn't work for me in their current form. I saw a post going around the internet maybe a month ago that was someone sharing what they thought was a threshold that everyone should be able to reach physically for achievements. It was a certain number of push-ups, a certain weight of bench press, this amount of things. And they had a list for men and they created a list for women. And this had obviously a very mixed response, but it was one of those one-size-fits-all approaches that doesn't factor in really anything. There was not really any science behind it, and it just frustrated me that this is still going around in the self-improvement community. The reality is, wherever you're at, just taking the next step for you is going to be so much more important than matching some metric that is a one-size-fits-all approach. Number 3, excessive self-criticism. This one is a personal one. This is not a systemic issue. This is just an individual issue, but I see people run into this time and time and time again, including myself at various points in my journey. Whether we like it or not, we are all getting into self-improvement because there are parts of us that we don't like and that we want to change and improve. And where this can get kind of toxic is when we're approaching it from a place of excessive self-criticism, thinking I need to improve because I'm so bad and so terrible. That's a really bad place to approach something that is meant to be positive. These thoughts, when repeated, become patterns, and patterns become habits, and then that becomes an entrenched belief about yourself that I'm so bad, I'm so terrible, whatever it is, I need to improve. That is not a healthy way to look at it. I read a quote the other day from author James Clear that said, "Being kind to others is mostly about your actions. Being kind to yourself is mostly about your thoughts." This is so important because how we experience the world is based on how we process information, not actually what happened. For example, two people can walk into the same situation and have the same experience on the outside, but one of them can walk away having a bad experience and the other having a good experience, all based on how they internally processed that situation. So this is just your reminder to check in on your mindset, check in on those thought patterns, and if there's anything that you need to change there, just being aware of them is the first step in that process. Number 4, overemphasis on productivity. The reality is, while productivity is valuable, it is not the only thing that self-improvement should be focusing on. Your life is more than just being productive. Self-improvement should also prioritize rest, relationships, and hobbies. For me, this has been the thing I've been working on the most in my self-improvement journey over the last few years, is taking the focus off of productivity and achievement and turning it more towards a holistic approach of living a better life. For the last 4 years, I've had this phrase plastered at the top of my goals list: less, but better. When I'm at my best, I'm living exactly like this. Most days, I look at that and wish I was there. Number 5, ignoring external factors. These are things like relationships, environment, and financial stability. As a matter of fact, I would consider these almost cornerstones before you can start improving your life. It's kind of like these are some of the first things you need to have figured out because they're basic needs. I'd like to talk this through with a model that I learned about in college and I refer to often. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The basic idea here that it's a pyramid that progressively moves up as you fulfill different areas of your life. So at the bottom are some very, very basic things like food, shelter, safety. And as you move up towards the top, you run into things like the final step, which is self-actualization. Now, self-improvement as a genre tends to focus towards the top of the pyramid, but it's important to know that you can't achieve those top sections if you don't have the basics covered. It's a step-by-step process. And I don't think self-improvement spends enough time focused on the base of that pyramid. So in sum, these feel more like prerequisites to self-improvement rather than external factors. Number 6, comparison culture. This is just another part of being human, but it has been much worsened over the last 10 years with social media. The reality is, looking at someone else's life online, you're only seeing a small, very polished picture of it. We all know this, but it's one of those things that our lizard brains just inherently look at and go, oh, well, they're doing better than I am, and I need to catch up because survival or self-actualization or something. If you're trying to improve your life, it shouldn't be to be better than someone else or to reach a level of success that you perceive someone else to be at. It should be about improving your own personal life. And that is one of those mental things that I think many of us need to work on. Number 7, neglecting the present. I am very guilty of this and have been guilty of this for a long time, and I think many goal-oriented people are. We tend to, in the process of improvement, always be looking to the future, to our goals, and trying to get to that point. What I've realized is that if I'm going to keep improving my life, I need to enjoy the process of improving my life. My favorite approach to this is from productivity author and YouTuber Ali Abdaal in his book, Feel Good Productivity. He emphasizes the phrase, enjoying the journey. So instead of a goal being get in the best shape of my life, the goal would be get in the best shape of my life while enjoying every step along the way. This was a newer concept to me over the last year or two, and so I've seen that filter into my goals, and it's been very helpful for me thinking about my daily quality of life and how much I'm actually enjoying the process of pushing through and doing things. If you're early in your self-improvement journey and you're not quite sure where to go, I want to leave this video linked up here. It's about finding your core values. This is a great first step in actually improving your life and figuring out which direction you want to go.